In 1893, German pathologist George Schmorl first documented the presence of fetal cells in the maternal body, to later be observed that these retained fetal cells have stem cell-like properties. Since that time, scientists worldwide have ubiquitously confirmed this phenomenon. Fetal cells migrate into the mother during pregnancy, and in humans can persist for decades. The fetal cells also appear to target sites of injury, crossing both the placental and blood-brain barriers to migrate into diverse tissues and to differentiate into multiple cell types, which is particularly interesting since the fetus has different genes than the mom. Some of the first scientists to evolve this discovery into a medical treatment did so while managing a devastating tragedy.
There has been a nuclear accident in the Soviet Union. One of the atomic reactors at the Chernobyl atomic power plant near the city of Kiev was damaged.
The Chernobyl disaster resulted in some people suffering from aplastic anemia, otherwise known as bone marrow failure. And to this day, a bone marrow transplant is the only cure. Just weeks after the event, the LA Times reported a major problem that confronted the physicians in the first frantic days was to find suitable bone marrow donors. In a few rare cases, physicians had been known to use fetal liver cells as substitutes for adult bone marrow.
The first case of our treatment was a case of aplastic anemia. This was a child, and he was completely dependent on the blood transfusions. Completely. Once per week, blood transfusion, and this kept him alive. In about 2 months, he rapidly flourished after this treatment. This was amazing, and this was what we made. Wow.
This is Dr. Alexei Karpenko and Dr. Alexander Smigadub. They are two of the earliest pioneers of fetal stem cell therapy in Kyiv, Ukraine. I tracked down Dmytro, the aplastic anemia patient they had cured using only fetal liver cells back in 1991. To this day, Dmytro never had any other therapy for his bone marrow failure since being injected intravenously with fetal liver cells decades earlier.
I was hired at the Coordinated Center for Transplantology of Ministry of Health, and I founded there a department for fetal stem cell transplantation. So formally, I got the position of the person in charge for fetal stem cell transplantation in our country. MCell was a private company which was established, founded in the beginning of 1994. Just for development of this invention. This was the single university level clinic in the world devoted to this single problem of fetal stem cell transplantation. This is our only topic of our investigation.
Originally operating from a single room in a Kyiv state hospital, MCell has since evolved into this. Ukraine continues to be the only country on Earth that this technology has been formally approved and legalized. The lack of regulatory approval elsewhere, especially in the United States, is partly due to the contention that these stem cells are obtained exclusively from end of first trimester abortions.
Women have been finding ways to end pregnancy historically since 1000 BC.
No one's out there getting pregnant to support stem cell research to have an abortion. I think it's much more beneficial than the way that abortions are handled in our country, where it's just thrown out. At least it can go to something that can be beneficial to somebody else.
Yeah, might as well use it.
I do think that if the United States says, we think this would promote abortion or something like that, I think that's ridiculous. I don't know the statistic off the top of my head, but I can imagine that there's probably thousands of abortions happening in the United States daily. Why would you need to force an abortion in order to get the stem cells to provide the treatment? That doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it's a shame. There's millions of fetuses that are aborted every year, and we could be putting all that tissue, the fetuses, to good work and study them. Obviously, MCell's figured it out, and people are getting healed, and miraculous things are happening. And it's just too bad the United States isn't able to do that yet. Hopefully, maybe sometime in the future. But
we're not going to speak to women and convince them from aborting just to have stem cells. We're talking about people who made the decision.
And I'm thankful that the person who had decided to terminate their pregnancy donated the fetus, and the cells were able to be extracted to help other people with chronic disease. And it changed my entire life. So yeah, I'm really good with that fact.
And in conversation, with someone at church, I was just talking about, and she looked at me and she says, "Oh, well, you don't ever have to do that again. Don't ever do the fetal stem cells again." And I'm thinking, I wasn't apologizing for it. I was telling you how amazing it is that Sophia's doing so well. And she's telling me, from her only point of view, was this is a horrible thing and you should never do it again. And I'm like, oh, we're like so on the different page. Like, that's not what I'm saying. So then I've learned not to talk about it because people couldn't grasp that we were horrible people for saving our daughter's life. So, yeah.
After 30 years of development, fetal stem cell therapy doesn't just include the cells derived from the fetal liver, which is how this therapy was given its start after Chernobyl. Instead, this protocol has evolved into utilizing stem cells from virtually all the organ systems of the human body, aimed at addressing a wide variety of neurological and immunological conditions.